Welcome to another episode of Ask the Child Therapist, Kids Edition, where every week I teach kids how to deal and crush their anxiety and OCD. Do you know what anxiety and OCD love the most? More than anything else? More than even bullying you, which is what we talked about last week? It loves that it has this special relationship with you. It tells you things and you stay nice and quiet. It bosses you around and you just listen to it. It tells you what to do, what to avoid, how to think, and you're like, okay. And the best part about all of that is you don't tell anybody else about it. You keep it to yourself. And people will say, hey, is that your anxiety? Or hey, is that an OCD issue? Nope, there's no problem here. No problem. Keep on walking. Anxiety and OCD love that you lie for it. Love that you keep everything secret. Now, I get it. It's embarrassing. Sometimes it's uncomfortable to have these thoughts or these feelings or to feel nervous all the time or to do things that don't make sense and nobody else is going to understand that. But the biggest weapon that anxiety and OCD have over you is that you don't want to talk about it. So I'm going to teach you in this video how to fight back and communicate and tell people that love you what's going on. How to use some language so that you can talk to your mom about it, or you can talk to the therapist if you have a therapist, or you can talk to your dad about it. I want you to be able to stop keeping it a secret, because as long as you keep all your fears a secret and all your OCD thoughts a secret, if you have OCD, guess what happens? You don't have the power to fight it because you need some support. You need some family support. And also just keeping it private gives it power. We don't want that. So the first step that I would tell you to do is name it. Give it a funny, funky name. I know if you're a little bit older, you might be like, that is so babyish, I don't want to do that. But it's very important that you take this problem and you put it outside of yourself. You're being bullied by this problem and it's not you. It's the anxiety or it's the OCD. It's a chemical issue. Do you remember 2 episodes ago when I talked about what anxiety is? Or if you watched my video on what OCD is? If you haven't, go back and watch those. It's a chemical thing that's going on in your brain and it is not you. And so we want to take this outside of you and we want to name it so we have an enemy that we can attack. Are you ready for this? So come up with a funky name. I don't care how old you are. I don't care if you're in your 20s. Name it. I named my social anxiety. It's called Paro and it's for paranoid because sometimes I'm paranoid. My social anxiety makes me paranoid. Are they talking about me? Do they not like me? That's what my social anxiety does. I'll talk about that in more detail in another video for those with social anxiety. But I have kids who will name it things like dictator. If you're older and you know what a dictator is, it's a very bossy person who runs a country. So call it dictator. I'm going to give you some ideas and take what you want from it and don't name it if you don't want to, but it does help. You can call it O for OCD. I have a lot of teenagers who do that. If you're little and you have anxiety, you can call it a worry cloud. My son calls it a worry cloud. I like Mr. Bossy for OCD. I have teenagers in my practice and they'll call it Bob or Frank or Gus, just kind of a funny name. It doesn't matter. Just come up with a clever name. You can call it liar or Lio because it's lying to you all the time. Just think, and you can even use something that's related to the type of anxiety or OCD that it's giving you. So some people call it like germo for germs, or they call it Mr. Knows because it Mr. Knows everything. You can get super creative. I mean, I have kids who use things from books that they've read or characters that they like or don't like, or even people they don't like. Whatever motivates you. So it's not a baby thing. It's just a good thing. I do it and I'm like 45. So pick a name. And if you're like, absolutely not, Natasha, I'm not naming it. Every stupid book says name it. Oop, I said the S word. It is helpful because you want to be able to tackle something outside of you. If you're not going to name it, fine, don't name it. But at least call it OCD or call it anxiety instead of it being something that is happening from you. Does that make sense? So hopefully most of you are on board with naming it. So if you've already named it or if you have a name, leave it in the comments below and help other people out. I would love to hear some of the names that you've picked. I already told you mine, so what's yours? Second, after you name it, I want you to talk to your mom and dad about how you want to discuss your problem. So a lot of times parents, maybe they want to talk about this a little bit too much or maybe a little bit too little. Most of the time it's too much because we get nervous as parents. We're worried about you. We want to fix this. And parents have to learn that this is not their problem. This is your problem. And so they can help you, they can support you. But ultimately, you have to realize this too. This is your deal. And the only person who can get you better is yourself. But tap into all the support that you have. Don't spend a lot of your energy hiding all of this because anxiety and OCD love that. You're on their team. So sit down with your mom and dad, or if you're only comfortable with one parent, that's fine. At least it's one person, and say, look, this is how I want to talk about my problem. This is how I want to talk about the bully. And hopefully you say, this is how I want to talk about O or Mr. No or whatever you're going to name it. So for the rest of the video, I'm going to use, I don't know, we'll use O so that we're not calling it anxiety or OCD anymore. Cool? Okay. So when you sit down with your parents, you want to say, this is what I want you to do. When we're in public and I am having a problem with O, I want you to talk about it this way. So some kids will come up with an abbreviated code name. So O is a great one because you really don't have to abbreviate it. You can say, is that an O problem? Or I'm having a problem. So you want to be able to have a word that you can say if you're at school, or let's say you're at your friend's house and you're feeling nervous and you want to call your mom or you want to call your dad and you want to say, I'm having some issues with O. You might want to have a code word that lets them know in public. Or your mom can say, are you having an O problem right now? Or maybe you have a saying that you say in public. That way your mom is not like, oh, are you anxious? Is this your anxiety or is this your OCD? You're going to find out. That's my annoying voice that I do when I am trying to imitate someone who's annoying. So you don't want that because that's embarrassing. And then you may never want to tell your mom anything anymore because she does that to you. So come up with a code word. Next, you want some way to let your parents know how bad O is being in the moment. So if you're having a really hard time, sometimes you can't find the right words, and sometimes it's just too hard to talk if you're feeling really, really, really overwhelmed. So come up with a way to give them information about how stressed you are. For most kids, I'll do a 0 to 10. So 10 is like, I am not okay. This is not okay. I'm about to lose it. And 0 is like, I am so chill. Everything is fine. So 0 to 10. So if you're having an O problem and you're out in public and your mom's like, oh, you're having an O problem. What number are you? You can say, I'm an 8, Mom. I'm an 8. And then she immediately knows, ooh, we're not doing good right now. Or if you come home and you're in a really bad mood and your mom says, what number are you? And you say, I'm a 9, then she knows to give you some space. So numbers are really, really helpful. If you're not a number person or numbers are too tricky because maybe you have some OCD issues around numbers, you can do colors. And so you can do red, yellow, and green, or you can do variations of that. You can have 4 colors, but you can do a color rainbow that helps your mom know. So, or your dad. So if you're really stressed and your mom says, what color are you? You might say, I'm orange. I'm not okay right now. So use colors or numbers to communicate how overwhelmed you are. Sometimes you're not going to be able to talk. You might be so wrapped up in some sort of OCD tornado, or you might be so wrapped up in panic with anxiety that you can't talk. And so, or you don't want anyone to talk to you about it because you're feeling, I can't talk about this right now. And I need to let you know that, but I can't talk. So you might want to come up with a secret gesture or something that you can do that just says, not okay right now. Please leave me alone. So I have kids who do like they'll do weird hand gestures, they'll touch their nose, or they'll be like, no, whatever you want to do, it does not matter. Just come up with something. And then hopefully your parents will respect that. And when they see that, they'll back off and they'll give you some space. Don't abuse it though. Last thing I want to mention is you want to sit down with your parents and you want to also talk to them about where your comfort is with how they talk about O to other people. I hear this a lot in my practice. Kids get really upset if their mom or dad is talking about their anxiety or OCD to people outside of the family or even to your brothers and sisters. So give your parents a set of rules and say, look, I'm comfortable with you talking to grandma about it, but I really don't want you to talk to Uncle Bob about it. Or I don't want my brothers and sisters to know about this. Now, I'll do another YouTube on this, but I do feel like it's really important that everybody in the family that lives with you should at least know a little bit about your battle. Otherwise, guess who's winning because you're keeping it secret. But people outside of your home, your grandparents, your aunts and uncles, family, friends, you might want to be private about that. And you know what? That's totally okay. But you have to sit down with your parents and let them know, look, I'm going to start talking to you about all this. I'm going to start opening up to you, but I don't want you to talk to blah, blah, blah about it. They won't know unless you tell them. So I hope this gives you some ideas on how to communicate and talk to your mom and dad more about your anxiety or OCD. Name it, have a name, put it down below. I want to hear those names. If you want your parents to get some help on how to support you through your anxiety or OCD, my YouTube channel is being taken over by you. And so for at least right now, I'm going to be doing Ask the Child Therapist, just Kids Edition. But I do have a podcast, and most kids aren't going to listen to podcasts, that is purely for your parents. And so if you want them to learn more about the things that you're struggling with, let them know about my podcast. I'll leave a link below. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell so you get notified when new videos come out. They come out, I'll have a new video every Thursday. And until next time, don't forget to find the sparkle in every day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.